No One Likes Us Talking is also sponsored by Gary at Tower Design and Print Limited, Dean Wilson, Independent Funeral Directors at Elton, Bromley and Lock's Bottom, Reliance South East Cleaning Services covering London, Kent and Sussex, Bexley Steel, Power Industrial Estate, Slade Green Road, Erith, and North East Millwall. You can find our sponsors' details online or at our website at NoOneLikesUsTalking.com. That is a talking without a G, and No One Likes Us Talking is all one word. That's NoOneLikesUsTalking.com.
Hello and welcome to the No One Likes Us Talking Millwall podcast. My name's Joe Amphlett. I'm joined in the studio by three very unhealthy, overweight men. But they're balding and they aren't attractive anymore. But I reckon in their day they would have been very, very handsome.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. I'm only joking, boys. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Joe.
Happy New Year, Joe.
I meant no offence, but
and I'm still quite handsome.
Don't worry, I can take offence. Did you say Claire Balding?
Yes, I did. You look a bit like Claire Balding.
Thank you very much indeed, Joe.
Welcome to the show, everyone. We hope you had a lovely Christmas. Happy New Year to you. Now, before a lot has happened since we last did a broadcast, and Millwall were not doing too well last time. I know a lot of people on Twitter and Facebook, people that I follow and monitor, were calling for Neil Harris's head. I think they might have changed their mind on that one. We've had 4 wins in a row. I've got something to say about the FA Cup, actually, boys. I'll get into that later. But are you pleased with how the Christmas and festive period went? Ted?
Oh, without a doubt, Joe. 4 wins, you can't grumble at that, can you? It's typical of fans, though, isn't it? You know, Neil Harris, let's have his head, and now all of a sudden we're all talking about getting into the playoffs again on the back of 4 wins. But the bottom line was, though, Joe, I've got to be honest, I don't think they were our best performances of the season over the Christmas period, but we've learned to win ugly, should we say, because the 3 games in the Championship, which was all important wins, including obviously our first away win at Ipswich, but we was desperate for points, and we've got ourselves over the line without playing particularly well in any of the games. But that's how tight this division is. You know, most of the games finish by one way or the other, 1 goal, and thankfully we got 3 wins, very, very important wins, and now it's looking a bit rosier, I think.
Graeme, you must have had a good festive period.
I'm always having a good festive period, mate. I never
ate a lot.
I never
involves eating. That's why.
I never stint myself.
Have you got any New Year's resolutions, mate, to
none,
cut down
mate.
on?
Absolutely none.
No.
Just to keep on going the way
Just
I'm
to
going.
keep eating.
Yeah.
Keep eating until next Christmas.
Yeah. Let me say something to you, and this is interesting, isn't it? I've fallen in love. I've fallen back in love with football again because of one player over that festive period. Shane Ferguson, mate. Let's talk about Shane, because that man was all but gone from Millwall. People were saying, oh, we might trade him, we might get rid of him, whatever. But he has practiced. He's gone and taken all these training sessions seriously. And what a delightful way. What a delightful way.
Why are you doing it in such a creepy voice?
What a delightful way he struck that penalty away against Ipswich. And then, what a beautiful,
this is weirding me out.
2 beautiful goals against Hull. What a wonderful player. We got to give him credit. It made me fall in love with football again.
Graeme, I must say to you, I've always been a fan of Shane Ferguson. I thought it was a great signing when we first brought him in. I was very disappointed when he was out of the team for so long. If I had a choice between Shane Ferguson and Aidan O'Brien on that the left-hand side, I'd always choose Shane Ferguson. I think he's got a fantastic delivery from a corner. In my opinion, he's our best free kick taker. What's the word I'm looking for?
Specialist free kick
taker.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yeah, free kick taker.
We don't know anything cleverer than that, Joe.
That sounds right to us, Joe. That sounds right.
What do they call it when you take the penalties, the free kicks, the corners? What's that called?
Well, spot kick. No, I don't know.
Dead ball specialist.
Dead ball specialist.
That's what I was trying to say. I think that's what
something
I was
along
trying
them
to say.
lines.
I've always been a fan of him. I think I'm glad he's back in the side, and he's made a real difference.
I think Graham's right, though. I mean, it did look like he was going to disappear, Joe, didn't it, at one time? So, and I think you're right, actually. I always think when it comes to the left-hand side, he's the best of the bunch. I'm not saying they're a great bunch on that left-hand side, but that might bring us to later on about to Marshall and things like that, really. But what I would say, just a couple of things quickly. I think you mentioned Harris getting a lot of stick, and I think that was really unfair. You know, he's had this is his fourth season, guys. I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
and the 3 seasons before, he's done nothing short of bloody marvellous, has he? Really, let's be honest about it. He's still a young manager learning his trade, and this is the first little, bad patch he's had, and we all get on his back, and well, we don't, but lots of people do. And the other thing I'd like to make that. Them wins over Christmas, the two, especially the first 2, they got us back into the pack. They got us up with the other guys, and to have lost to Ipswich would have wasted that.
Yeah.
So that Ipswich win,
that was vital.
Really, yeah, it was very vital that we pushed on from that.
I mean, I think Neil Harris needs to take a lot of credit. I mean, for those of us that were at Ipswich in the first half, it was probably our worst performance in the whole season, yet somehow or the other he galvanised them into a completely different side the second half. And as you say, George, by doing what we done in the second half at Ipswich, we never wasted what we'd achieved at home in the 2 games against Reading and Forest, and it put us back in there. Coming on to Shane Ferguson quickly, like Graeme obviously he's fallen madly, I don't know about football, it sounds like he's fallen madly in love with Shane Ferguson, but the thing about Fergie is that all of a sudden he's becoming more consistent with his performances. I think we all like him. We all liked him for a long while in what he can do and what he can't do. But I've been one that's been critical of him when he's had the opportunity to sort of prove that he's worth a starting spot. He hasn't really done it. This season, so far, he has done it. And he's become one of our most important players. I mean, the dead ball specialist thing that Joe, we came to at the end, Joe's right. He is the guy that knocks the best ball into the box. And he's proven that time and again this season. So... I mean, it's been...
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed with Yuri Skalak because I think he has the ability to knock a decent ball in, but he's just... Whether it's because he hasn't been played, we go back to what George said about Neil Harris, I do think sometimes he puts a player in the team and then takes him out quickly, and that's affected his confidence. Skalak came from a promotion winning team, Brighton, and, he really hasn't produced at all, and he looks a shadow of himself. And, I wonder
I think
whether...
you're right, Graham. It might just be games. It might just be games. I've been quite critical of Ryan Tunnicliffe in the sense that he doesn't... In the middle of the park, you need to be a bit sort of dominant in certain ways. But to be fair to the boy, the last few games, he's been a better player. He's been the player that we looked at and thought we might have.
If I'm honest, and, I know Williams has got a lovely left foot and all that, but I think Tunnicliffe has made that midfield stronger, physically stronger.
Well, the only thing is, obviously now we've got the loanies come back, and Ben Thompson, who was having the time of his life at Portsmouth and playing well week in, week out. Neil seems to think that it's best to bring him back and keep him in the pot. It'd be interesting to see who gets the 2 spots on Saturday, because you've got Sean Williams back fit, you've got Ben Thompson floating around.
Well,
and you've got the 2 boys that have been holding the fort over Christmas and playing quite well.
On a personal point of view for Ben Thompson, I will feel sorry for Ben Thompson if he does not get into the side now, because he's been fantastic for Portsmouth. Portsmouth fans are raving about him. They want him back down there. If he's not getting in our side and he comes back to sit on the bench, I'll feel bad for him. I don't want him to start harbouring a grudge against Neil or the club because he's not playing football.
I can't see him getting straight in the team, though, not with our success over the last 4 games. So I think the best Benny's going to get is obviously sitting on the bench to start off with.
Let's look at what happened on Sunday, because I thought when Sean Williams came on, we looked a much better side. And what people say about Sean Williams, we don't. You see him play and that. But he does add something to that midfield, in my opinion. So I don't know whether Ryan Tunnicliffe played particularly well on Sunday, and
no, I don't think it was his greatest game on Sunday.
And I think he might use that to bring Ben Thompson back.
The other thing we've got to say about that, Graham, talking about Neil, and we've said it time and again on this show on a few occasions, about him not really having a plan B. Well, he seems to have discovered a plan B, because he brought it out at Ipswich for the second half, and he's brought it out again in the second half there at thingy. And we've been quite critical about his substitutions, right? But one thing about Sunday's game was it was down to Neil Harris's substitutions that we won the game. So you have to give the guy credit when it goes right.
That's right.
And I've said it time and again. Neil Harris is still a very young manager in terms of experience and whatever that. But it's going the right way, even if we are down the bottom end of division this year. It's going the right way. We're doing the right sort of things.
Look, well, the other little position I'm interested in is Steve Morrison out on that right, because he seems to be ideal out on that right again. He seems to be causing a lot of trouble, doesn't he? Really, I like that position because I don't think Tom Elliott is strong enough on his own to lead the line.
Well, it's a variation, Graeme, and it's a different way of. It enables to play slightly differently, if I can put it that way. And I think the one thing about us this year is, as we've said from last season's performances, everybody comes down to Millwall and knows what to expect. Now, all of a sudden, we've got a second string to our bow that, Steve Morrison going out wider, the ball's going a different way, and it's not coming straight directly at Tom Elliott, who, by the way, has been pretty good over the Christmas period.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
There's a variation to our play that we're bringing out now with perhaps this change that Neil brings in.
I've always thought if Morrison goes wide, it's mad really, because he was the main boy in the middle, so you're losing him. But if you've got Elliott standing there and he is wide, then you're covering that spot that he used to vacate.
Exactly. And the other thing that it brought and it allowed was Jeb Wallace to come inside and put him into some serious positions in the pocket, if you know what I mean, and being able to turn and run at people, and Jed's a difficult player to pick up because of that movement. Joe's gone to sleep.
Oh, you're all looking at me.
Well, I thought you had something to say, Joe.
No, I've got nothing to say. A quick word on Fred. He's back. Harris has been saying he's unplayable in training. Can we see him breaking into the side? Personally, I think he's been given enough chances in the Millwall shirt, and he's never really shown to me that he's going to take that level and step up that level, is what I mean.
Really, really hope he can do, because I think he's got something that from League 2 all the way up the pyramid to the Premier League. Pace, they don't like pace. Any defender tells you they don't like pace. Now,
but he frustrates me.
He's a frustrating player. But if Neil Harris, and I don't know whether Neil will do it, but he can get that out of him, he'll be worth a lot of money to the football club, because he can.
We've been saying that for 5 years, Graeme.
Well, yeah, I understand that. But when you had a problem like Norwich, where they were just piling into us at the end, if you'd have stuck him on, he would have dragged their defence back, and I don't know whether we would have lost that game. It's something about him. I keep on going back to him. He's like
it's a different way of playing when you've got Fred in the side, that's for sure. It's not just lumping a ball up.
Now, it's interesting because you mentioned about Neil Harris now seems to think he's a central attacking player rather down the wing. I think I read a couple of things that Harris has said this week. It seems to suggest that he might actually use him as a striker rather than.
Well, I think the thing is, the timing's ideal in the sense that obviously Lee Gregory's been out injured, and we're not sure how long he's going to be out injured for.
Well, we expect him to be back for the Borough game.
That's what they were talking about, Joe. Yeah, let's fingers crossed. But that leaves us a little bit short, because Aidan's been going in there alongside him, and bless him, as hard as he tried on Sunday, it was one of them days for him. He was never going to score. But Aidan's not got the pace of Fred. And I keep coming back to it with Fred, Joe. I know what you mean. It's frustrating. It may well be last chance saloon for the boy, because
I think it's.
When we had that cup run, when we beat Leicester, Bournemouth, and Watford, he was an absolute thorn in that Premier League players' sides. Remembering the first game that he ever played for us against Charlton, where he was man of the match. He was out wide then, but he proved to me in them games that he can play down the middle, and. It's just a matter of, we was talking about Fergie earlier, we don't want to see glimpses of Fred. We want to see Fred being a thorn in their side from the word go to the end of the game. You know what I'm saying?
I think personally he's got the end of the end of the season to prove that he.
I think you may be right.
You have a lot of faith in him. I used to. It's run out for me a little bit. He needs to prove it, and his finishing needs to get better. He's got until the end of the season, or I think he could be out the door.
I think he's got the opportunity now, Joe. And you're right, but I think it may well be his last opportunity. I don't want to put pressure on the boy or anything like that, but we do know. I'll say he's grown up with Neil Harris being in charge of him since the youth team days, if you know what I mean. So Neil obviously is talking him up already. He's saying he's unplayable in training and whatever. Let's see him unplayable on the pitch of a Saturday. That's what we want.
This is a wait-and-see game for Fred, isn't it, really? A wait-and-see time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're listening to the No One Likes Us Talking podcast. Me, Joe Amphlett, George, Ted and Graeme, my old mates. We were just saying, as we came into the studio, we was at a game 10 years ago. Someone invited us into a box for a Peterborough game. It must have been Jacket, would have been manager then, I suppose, wouldn't he? Yeah. And George went, I've known you 10 years. Yeah, sadly, George.
And I said it with
time,
I said it with a disappointing
You
voice,
did,
everybody.
yeah, and my reply was just as disappointing, and I said, yes, I've known you for that long. You miserable old git.
I can remember Graeme back when I was in nappies. I mean, he was taking me round the park
In
then.
nabbies, God.
Well, he still wears them. He still wears them. just
Under
in
them
case.
shorts, he
Yeah,
still
funny
wears them.
enough. I have to wear two these days.
Listen, we'll be right back. We're going to be joined by a former Millwall captain and a bit of a legend. Alan Dunne joins us next. Don't go anywhere.
I'd like to welcome Lions fan Steve Rendell, who is fundraising for the Society for Mucopolysaccharide Disease by running the London Landmark Half Marathon on the 24th of March. Hi Steve, why are you raising funds for the Society?
Thanks, Simon. I've done a couple of fundraising activities previously, but when I saw young Harvey Brown leading the team with skipper Tony Craig at Wembley in the playoff final against Barnsley, I thought, when I find myself a suitable half marathon to compete in London, I will run for the MPS Society and support young Harvey. So then I contacted Dean and Vicky, Harvey's parents. Then I take permission from the MPS Society. They gave me the green light to go ahead. And so far, with with all the generous sponsorship from everybody at the club and all the support I've had, so far I'm on £4,132.76. Just so people know where the sponsorship money is going towards, it's going to support the families and carers and ensure all individuals of MPS and related diseases have access to all the best treatment and care that's out there, and also promote the research into the causes, effects and treatments of these severely life-threatening limited diseases, and to basically increase the public awareness of these rare conditions.
Well, that's fantastic, Steve. And I'll say to all our listeners, you can help Steve to help MPS Society and others like our own Harvey Brown by sponsoring via Just Giving. You can find further details pinned to the top of the No One Likes Us Talking Facebook page throughout January, or by emailing us at studio@noonelikesUstalking, all one word, and talking's without a G.com. What Steve's doing is a fantastic job. All the best, Steve.
Thanks, Simon. Appreciate your time.
No one likes us! No one likes us! We don't care! We are Millwall! Super Millwall! We are Millwall! From here!
Welcome back to the No One Likes Us Talking podcast with me, Joe Amphlett, and the boys. Where are you from now? Well, I used to say the boys from the MSC, but you upset them, so where are you from now?
We're just a bunch of floaters now.
We're nomads, aren't we?
Yeah, the Nomads.
We're the nomads.
The Nomad boys. Anyway, every time on the show we try and get a good guest for you. We've got a great one this week, a bit of a club legend. He's now plying his trade at Bromley FC as a first team coach for them. It is, of course, Alan Dunne. Alan, good afternoon, mate. How you doing?
Good afternoon, gents. Very well, yes, not bad.
Mate, a little bit of a good result for Bromley last night as we're talking. This is Wednesday, the 9th? Oh, God.
Yeah, that's right.
This is obviously going out as a podcast, but a great result for your side last night against third in the league, Wrexham, mate.
Huge, yeah. No one gave us a chance last night. A club of Wrexham, how big they are. We've had three or four big results over the last few games. We played two of the top sides in AFC Flight on Saturday, and then last night Wrexham coming down with, the size of their club and history, and we comfortably won it 2-0. It was a comfortable win for us, so it's given us an outside shot back in the playoffs.
Absolutely. And is that the kind of ambition of the Bromley owners, that they want to get Bromley up into the league? Because it is a possibility.
Yeah, well, their business model is the foundations to lay down so we can eventually get in the league, and I think each year our budget will go up, and they've invested £3 million into a brand new stand which is being built at the moment. The change rooms are all being redone to league standard. Their vision is to get us in the league, and I think this year, we missed out in the playoffs last year by 3 points, and I think if this year we can get a top 10 finish, next year our budget will be higher, and then we'll be able to try and get in them playoffs to get in the league. That's our ultimate aim, yeah.
Alan, we'll get back onto Bromley in a little while, but we'll talk Millwall for now, if that's all right. And when Millwall were doing, let's be honest about it, not so good before the Christmas break, before the Christmas period, did Neil Harris give you a call and ask you to come in the changing room and shout at them and say, for God's sake, play for the shirt? Or there was nothing like that, was it? It didn't get you involved?
Me, no, I would have asked him if I can bring me boots. I would have liked to have a little bit, I think. No, look, Neil knows what he's doing there. We're a bit like Bromley, these slow starters. They bring a slow starter. It just hasn't clicked yet as he would like. Similar to last year in a way where I think the front end of the season it can be very difficult, and then something clicks, and then all of a sudden you pick up a couple of wins, and it breeds confidence. Winning breeds confidence, and they've gone on a little run now, similar to last year. And can they sustain that now? The league is better. The league is a tough league. But can they sustain that now and go on a little run just to pull themselves away with a bit more breathing space?
Now, I want to ask you about two players that's very interesting to the Millwall fans, Ben Thompson and Fred Onidimna. Now, what are your views? Do you think Ben should come straight back into the side? He's had a wonderful time at Portsmouth. And we think that Fred Onidimna, there's a player there, he's got tremendous pace. What do you think of Fred? Do you think he'll make it in the Championship in the end?
Well, Ben I've followed for a long time as a young boy, and I think the League One and Championship is two different leagues. I think the Championship is a lot tougher. I think him going away and playing some games will better him. I think he's got a future at the club. I think he's really good. Just sometimes these young players have to be dipped in and dipped out, and the Championship is just so unforgiving.
Yeah.
Again, Fred as well, another young player where it can be tough at times at the Den for you. But he's only learning, and the more games he plays, the more times he plays, the more experience he gets, and the better he gets. And I think he's, again, another player who has a future at the club. He's direct, he's strong. I remember trying to kick him many a times. It was like kicking a bit of granite.
It's unlike you, Al, trying to kick people.
All the young ones I used to try and kick, right? But when I kicked him, it was like kicking a bit of marble or granite. He was so strong.
Yeah.
But look, they're two young players I think are assets to Millwall, and whether they play now or whether they play in the future, I think they're still assets to Millwall.
Do you think, Al, with young players today, do you think it's tougher for them in the sense that I'm not sure that they get the time? We're a lot less patient with young players coming through now than I think we used to be, because it's such a demand in football that you want everything to happen now, if you know what I mean. You have to be patient with them, don't you?
Yeah, well, it's difficult for managers because managers' job time, it might only be a year or 18 months. They haven't got time to plan for 2-3 years. The immediate success is based on now. Depends what club you're at. If you've got to get results, you're not going to chance it by playing players that you need to develop. You've got to try and get results, and that comes down to managers not being in jobs long enough. But if you do it the right way and get a right balance, and you can dip them in, dip them out, it's the best learning form. They need to be playing them games week in, week out in men's football.
Last week, Steve Morrison was quoted as saying that, young players have changed. The game's changed for young players. They don't clean the boots anymore, and they don't, you've got to talk to them in a different way than maybe they did when you guys were younger. But do you think that's positive impact or not?
No, I got this question on another radio station the other day, and I sort of sat on the fence with it a little bit, but do you know what? I do agree with Morrison that the players they ain't having the upbringings that we had. Whether or not it has any beneficial later on, they are softened. They don't get the strict upbringing in terms of the boot cleaning and carrying in the goals, etc. But times have moved on, society's changed. So who's to say what's right and wrong? But they are a little bit soft, and I do agree with Stephen in parts of what he said.
I want to just stay on young players because it's quite interesting. The way I keep on hearing people say, how can we compete in the Championship? We haven't got the money and that. So it seems to me that it's vital that we do actually bring the younger players through. I mean, do you agree with that? Is that the way forward for Millwall? Because I can't see them spending out £10 million on a player.
No, but I think with Millwall, since it's always been a breeding club for producing players. It's always been that club, bringing players through. Players making their debut. If it weren't for that, me and Robbo and all the players that played 400 games would never have got a chance. But we were given a chance, and you're right, they do have to, a club like Mill do have to bring in a flux of young players to introduce, but it's just the timing. The timing's crucial. And if you're down the bottom of it, or you're fighting for relegation, then the timing at that point, it ain't going to get a chance. If they're comfortable and Mill are mid-table end of the season, and you can throw a couple of boys in for experience, then brilliant. It's great experience for them.
Yeah,
that's not easy, Al, when we're having a little bit of a rough patch out like we were before these last 4 games. So you can't do it so easily in the Championship as you can in League One, can you?
No, and the standard of Championship now is very, very difficult. That player has got to be able to sustain it with top quality players who are on 30, 40 grand a week. So it's a difficult one. Look, we'd all love to see more young players in the side week out, but it is a difficult one. And if you're a main man in the job, you've got to make them decisions, and they can be very tough.
Do you as a club, I'm sure you do, look round at the local young lads like Millwall, Charlton, and maybe to try and get perhaps one or two on loan at Bromley? Because I'm sure for their development it would be beneficial, and hopefully for Bromley it would be beneficial to you too. Because I know you had, didn't you have Jamie Philpott not long ago down at Bromley?
Yeah, George, I watch Millwall 23s on a regular basis. I watch Charlton, I watch Ipswich, and to be honest, the step up even from the 23s to the first team, they ain't ready. They ain't ready because they're too good for that level. But a step up, even in men's football, when there's points at board and it's your livelihood, it's a totally different game of football. And what I've noticed is that whether you go to Chelsea or whether you go to any of these clubs here and get these youngsters, in our league they've struggled. Not to say not all of them. Alfie come done all right. Jamie come done okay, but okay ain't enough. We took Paul Rooney, who was playing. I watched at Millwall 23s. He came from Millwall, went to Colchester, and he done well. So there are players you can do, but there are exceptions, and clubs are very cautious at the moment of going near the 23 because certain positions they're a liability. And that's a shame.
Is that because they're just not physically strong enough?
No, they can handle. I think they can handle the physicality side of it, but just they haven't. The moments in the games that they don't experience it at 23's level, like with experienced players in the men's football, happen. So they're fit enough. They can be strong enough, but there's certain areas that they're only going to get from experience. But at our level, we can't afford to lose points. So little things here and there, they lack in experience just from game time. So it's a catch-22. Like they can't get their Millwall, they can't go into the first team of National League, but they need to find a game time from somewhere. So
yes, an hard one.
I wanted to speak to you about the FA Cup, and obviously Millwall have got a lined up Everton in the next round. You was at the club when they got to the final. You was part of the team that got to the semi-final in 2013. What is your take on the FA Cup these days? There seems to be a bit of magic gone from it. I think the club have done, in recent history, had a nice association with the Cup. But for me, on Sunday, when we were 1-0 down, I just wanted us to go out. And I know that's not going to be a popular thing to say, and not many people will agree with me. What's the players' kind of thinking on that? When you're struggling in the league and you just want to get your wins in the league, do you care about the Cup?
The Cup, it's a tough one with the Cup. Look, the FA Cup, the magic of it and the FA Cup, it ain't what it used to be like. It's turning into a money racket, you know what I mean? It's what it's turned into.
Yeah.
With different times of the games and the TVs and all that, and don't know which channel, what. It's becoming like that. But I think the later stages, when you get into the later stages, there is nothing better than the FA Cup. If you start to get a sniff at the quarterfinals, semi-finals, no matter where you are in the league, I think it's brilliant. It is brilliant. We had a semi-final. We had a final. We played Everton a few years ago at Goodison in the FA Cup. I think it was the FA Cup. It was fantastic. It is a fantastic cup competition. It can be a distraction from the league, but look, you can draw teams that you might never play. You might draw a Man City. You might draw a big club where financially it can help everyone. The magic, I said to you, it ain't there. But look, the FA Cup's still the FA Cup. Every player still wants to be part of a trophy and get as far as they can, because it is a special cup if you get into the late stages of it.
It does show things up though, Al, doesn't it? Because aside from your division, Barnet, I mean, they went up to Sheffield United and won 1-0, and basically, by what I see, they outplayed them. So, and that's a fantastic thing for Barnet Football Club as well, to help them in their quest to try and get back out the Vanarama League into the Football League. But it shows that there is quality down in your division, and it also puts some of them players, and not that you want to hear this as your club's there, into the sort of shop window a little bit, because the boy who scored the goal for Barnet came from Spurs, I believe, originally, and he looked a bit of a player. Yeah,
it's a massive showcase for the young club. You look at 2 years ago, Lincoln got to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Sutton got to the fifth round, and they were both in our league at the time. And I mean, to go to the fifth round or quarterfinals in FA Cup, the last eight is for a National League side. It shows that on a day, that's why anything can happen in a game of football on a day, and everyone gets behind them, everyone roots for the underdog, and it's achievable to go have a journey on it.
What it is for me, Dunny, I think, is because in recent times we've been to Wembley at the semi-final, which was special until people started having a punch-up, and then the 2004 Cup final was, of course, amazing, very special for the club. Because those are still quite alive in my memory, I'm kind of like, we've done the FA Cup. Oh, I just think it's crucial that we stick in the Championship.
Oh dear.
Do you know what I mean? I don't want to get relegated again. I think I want to build on where we are. That was just my take.
You do realise it took us 50 years to get there in my lifetime, anyway. But
he's a lot younger than you, isn't he? Yeah.
Danny, I want to ask a question. Bearing in mind I read your book and that, you're a first team coach at Bromley now, yeah? Would you have liked to have coached yourself? Is there anything you think that you would have done differently?
What, to coach myself?
Yeah.
Oh, God, that is a tough question. With me, no, I always was better when coaching myself when people doubted me. If I got praise, it made me worse. If someone kept telling me you're great, you played well done, you're brilliant, I went the other way. If someone doubted me, and Kenny was very good at it, he'd never give much away with me, Kenny. I'd always never know if I had a good game or bad game with him, even though I thought I played well. And I got more out of me. He never said to me, "Oh, Dunny, you were brilliant today." And I always never used to think what he was thinking. So coaching me had the effect. It never give me praise. Always make me doubt you, and you get more out of me. And when your back's against the wall, that's when I used to perform my best.
Yeah. Most people like a hand on the shoulder and say, "Oh, well done," don't they? Really? So you're a bit of an oddball there, Al, aren't you?
Yeah, you do like it, but look, all my life, I'd rather someone don't give me the praise and make me work. Yeah. And at the end of the season or the end of it, then you get a tap on the back. That's how I always thought was better for me.
Well, I've got to tell you, Al, I think you've been rubbish at coaching so far.
Brilliant.
What's in the future for Bromley then? Let's think, because I went down there, and one of the parts of the ground I really enjoyed is that you can watch football from the bar, and I hope they're not changing that, Al. And what do you think it's feasible that Bromley could have a league team in the near future?
Yeah, look, it's a fantastic club, and I really enjoy it. It's a family club. They've got a huge investment down here with a new stand going in with another bar. So there'll be a second bar.
That's good news.
It's a great club with a great following. We went to Wembley last year in the FA Trophy. We took 20,000 people.
No, blimey, that's good going. Yeah,
it's huge.
All Millwall fans.
Look, the owners want to get in the league, and he thinks the team he's got with the management staff. We've got Neil Smith, who's from ex-Fulham. Great manager. With our little team, we are confident that we'll get Bromley in the league.
Great stuff, mate.
More importantly, Al, how have you been getting on against Avon at Waterlooville this year with our old mate Robbo?
I see him last week. We played him last 2 weeks ago. We played him. So I
hope you didn't tell him to kick him off the park.
No. We were both walking like two old men to the bench. We were.
and who won?
We had a good catch up. Look, we won 3-0.
He was always rubbish, wasn't he?
And
it was nice to see. It was nice to see him. Nice to catch up with him and talk a bit of coaching, talk a bit of football, and talk about old times and stuff. And we do miss it. We wish we could be out there, but we had our time and we loved it. We enjoyed every moment of it. It was brilliant.
Do you miss anything particular about leaving our football club?
Everything. Walking through the door, saying hello to the receptionist, through the change room, high-fiving the kit man, going upstairs after, being part of that. Every single thing I had for 23 years, I miss every day. It's part of who I am. I do miss it. I go back a lot, and it never leaves you. When you go back there, the same people, the same faces. They always want to talk. They're so nice and interested in, and it's so genuine, and I miss that. It's a great feeling to have.
And you've been wonderful to us as well for this interview. That's great news.
Yeah, it's been great.
Thanks very much indeed.
Yeah.
Danny, thanks so much for joining us, mate. Best of luck at Bromley. We hope you can nick into the playoffs and hopefully see you back down the den at some point this season as well. We'll speak to you again, mate, hopefully.
Cheers, guys.
All the best, Al.
Cheers,
Cheers. Bye now.
Alan Dunne, Dunny. Read his book as well. His book is fantastic. I read it in over 2 days and really enjoyed it. And well done to Dunny.
Doing a few more characters like him, Joe.
Absolutely, mate. Especially when the chips are down, you need someone like Dunny in the dressing room. Anyway, stay with us. Plenty more to come, including grumpy old men. Don't go anywhere.
Where are they?
Welcome to No One Likes Us Talking podcast question number 9, sponsored by WePrintAnyGift.com. Before the question, we must congratulate Dan Benson from Sidcup on winning our last competition with the answer Alan Dunne. As a prize, Dan received a copy of Theo Foley's biography. Many of you got it right, so thanks for entering and better luck this time. We continue to celebrate the 25 years at the Den, Zampa Road, with the following question. What 2 people completed 2 stints as first-team managers at the Den during the past 25 years? Yes, what 2 people completed 2 stints as first-team managers at the Den during the past 25 years? Please send your answer to studio@noOneLikesUsTalking.com. That is all in lowercase, and No One Likes Us Talking is all one word, and talking is without a G. Write podcast question in the subject of your email, please. It will differentiate it from anything else in our inbox. The competition will close next Monday. The winner and prize will be announced on our social media links and will also be mentioned on the next No One Likes Us Talking show. Finally, thanks again to our sponsor, WePrintAnyGift.com, and be lucky.
No one likes us! No one likes us! We don't care! We are Millwall! Stoke the Millwall! We are Millwall from the Den!
Welcome back to the No One Likes Us Talking podcast. Me, Joe Amphlett, with the Nomads, George, Ted and Graeme. Thanks to Alan Dunne for joining us, and we now move on to what's fast becoming my favourite segment of this podcast. It is, of course, Grumpy Old Men, and because we have 3 very grumpy old men, actually no, Ted's
Some older and some grumpier.
I mean,
than
you're all
others.
old. Yeah, that's true. You're all old, but Ted's the least grumpy, I'd say.
And the least old, by the way.
In what sort of order
Yeah.
would you put it, Joe?
Grumpiness.
Well,
Yeah, what in grumpiness? What sort of order?
Well, there's
then?
no-
Well, I'd say actually Graham's the most grumpiest about
Good.
the club,
Yeah.
but in real life, George is probably grumpy about most things.
Yeah, he is grumpy.
Yeah.
Very grumpy man. Unpleasant.
Bloody weather,
Yeah.
bloody government,
Unpleasant.
trains ain't running,
Yeah, that's right.
moaning
Yeah.
about something.
Yeah,
I don't
of
know.
course he does.
Blimey,
Who wants to go first?
well, it's
Ted
got-
to go first because
no,
he's bursting.
No, it's got to be Graeme. Grumpiest
You're
first.
the
Well,
grumpiest
Oh,
in Mill.
shall I go first?
Oh,
Oh,
he's
here
not
we
only
go.
grumpy,
Grumpiest
he's
title,
very
go on,
pushy as
Here
well.
we go. Go on.
Go on then.
Right. Well, mine are made up of people that have said things to us, and I'm going to sort of, just mention
So
these.
you can't even think of your own grumpiness.
Lots of people say grumpy things to us, too.
We had an email in the other week about the club shop just before Christmas, saying
Rubbish, that
about
shop.
the quality of the stock, the Millwall kit, and the lack of sizes and the range. Now, I went into the club shop the other day just to have a little look, and I have to say that I tended to agree with it. I thought, outside of our normal shirts, home and away, goalkeepers, all that, there wasn't much. There was like shirts that just have a tiny little Millwall badge put on that a guy from Accrington Stanley could be wearing, or
And
a
they
guy
charge-
from
and they
Everton.
charge stupid money for it.
Yeah, and I thought it was pretty poor, to be honest. So, yeah, I think the chap who rang in, who emailed us, and I can't remember his name, I do apologise, I thought he was pretty on the money on that, actually.
Not
Plus
just
none-
that, though. I think, sorry to interrupt
Go on,
you,
Joe,
Ted.
go on.
The football kit last season, we're not made by them anymore. We've got Macron again. What
Yeah.
are they called? Iria? How'd you say it?
That's right, yeah.
Iraya.
Something like that.
Araya, whatever you say, how you say it. Their quality of football kits were poor anyway. So the fact that they were charging what they charged for that was wrong, because they were craply made. I really do agree. My father-in-law loves a bit of the club shop. He was with me on Sunday wearing all his crap from the club shop with his long sleeve, like Fred Perry with 1885 on it. The 5 looked like an 8 actually. It looked like, I was like, it says 1888 on there. The 5 looked like an 8. I think that they're trying to make money, but don't insult the fans. Give us some quality stuff. Otherwise, we'll just go to Primark and sew on our own badges.
And the other thing, Joe, that I was going to say is that they all seem to think that Millwall fans shouldn't be any bigger than an L.
Yeah. Yes.
If you're not an L, you can't get into anything.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Well, if they don't sell XL, they'd never sell any, would they? You know,
I've seen Graeme walking around in his football shirt. Looks like a boob tube on him.
And you know, you
Got
used
a
to
lovely
have
breasts, haven't they?
You do have lovely breasts.
I know they might not think this is fashionable, but they used to have lots of T-shirts with, you know,
Sweatshirts.
Lot kicks you up in the air or whatever it might be. You know,
The Harris one was
no
good,
one
wasn't it?
likes us. That's right. No one likes us. Enough said. All them sort of things. And I didn't. They may be there, and for that, you know, if I'm wrong, I apologise. But I didn't see any of them type of T-shirts, and the guys like to wear them.
She-shirts?
Yeah, I did. I mean,
Shisha. Shisha at the den. Who'd have thought it?
Right, my next one is, once again, it's not mine, it's Eamon's, but he's made a very good point here. He was talking about the mascots on match days. Now, I know Millwall have to make money, and you'll never get me moan too much about that, but they charge roughly about £400 for the kids to do that job. Now, as a football club, and we're going to know round this table, we don't get enough kids at Millwall. And I think we should be encouraging all the packages that maybe we're thinking of selling or do sell to be doing this as some sort of, you know, you write in or something and you get picked out of the hat, because we should be encouraging as many kids to take part in mascots and other things they do rather than charge them and make money, you know.
Where does the money go? Does it go straight back into the club, that £400?
I would have thought so. I mean, I couldn't put my hand on my heart and say that's definitely.
I think that's an absolute disgrace. And also, what's disgraceful about it is that other clubs are doing it. It's not just Millwall doing it, and they're charging a lot more than £400.
Oh, they are, yes. So, you know, I'm not.
But why copy what other clubs are doing? But what they've done, Millwall, is they've gone, other clubs are making money out of it, we'll do it as well. Well, don't do that. Be different. Come out in the press and say, well, we've seen other clubs charging it, we're not going to do it. We promote youngsters coming down the den. We want fans passionate about this club, and we're going to give you the chance to do it for free. We're not like other clubs. We're a family club. We're Millwall. Why not do that? They've missed a trick there.
Well, why not make it part of the Junior Lions package? You get to be put in the draw to be the mascot for the home game.
Drawn out.
Not for
the richest fan. We're not rich.
No.
Our fans of this club are not. You know, I'm sure there are some wealthy people, and that's great.
But there's none around this table, is there?
No, we're all skint. But you know, people are. It's a working class club. First and foremost, and a lot of people can't afford £400 for a magical experience. I would have loved to have been a mascot when I was a kid. I was a ball boy 3 times, but I never was a mascot, and a lot of kids would love to do it. Put them in a lottery.
I think what we're saying, Joe, in the whole scale of things, is £400. Is Millwall desperate for £400 like that? You know, when you could get, I think, so much more benefit out of it by actually, you know, encouraging kids and encouraging them to join up with the Junior Lions.
Especially when we're a football club that's attendance isn't huge, and we don't seem to have as many kids as some other teams. So, you know, so Eamon's made a very good point there.
Well, I'd invite Steve Kavanagh to come on TalkSport, for example, who I'm sure people know that I work for TalkSport.
You invite him on his podcast as well, Joe, if you want.
I'll speak to Steve. I actually spoke to
see
him
if
this
he'll
week.
come on here and talk.
I wouldn't mind speaking to him.
I'll ask Steve. I will ask him, because I spoke to him a couple of days ago, and he is going to come on the TalkSport show soon. And I will ask him about the mascot thing, and I'll say, look, why don't you not do that? Don't copy other clubs. And come out on national radio to 1 million people and say, that's not the club we are, we'll do it for free. And I'll put that to him. I'll promise you that.
Right.
All right.
Right, and my third one is
How
related.
many more? Yeah, come on.
No, I'm in a good mood today. And this is from Stan Godwin, our man on the
not Red Stan.
But Stan gets the that when we go, you know, when a game finishes and they go to the trains, the home supporters are left waiting while the away fans board the train. Now, I know Stan is going to go to a meeting at the club to talk to the police about this or give them some earache, but it's a very good point. You know, Stan always gets there with his grandson and he's waiting in the cold while the guys from wherever go off on the train, and he gets the right and then rings me up and tells me about it. So, you know, that's another point, and as I say, he's going to make this to the police himself at a meeting at the den.
I reckon they're saying to him, Stan, you go by bus and we'll let all the Millwall fans on.
Well, Stan loves going by bus.
Stan is the problem.
If you follow Stan on Facebook, Stan regularly does updates of what bus he's on, and on his way, I'm on the 229 on the way to get me pie and mash.
Stan makes the point that there can't be many football clubs in the entire country where the home fans are left waiting at the station while the away fans shoot off on the train. You know, it tends to be the other way round as a rule. And I think that's the point Shane gets the ump with.
Well, I think the police would be the people to ask about it.
And that's a good reason I'm in a good mood, and that's just that.
And you've got nothing to be grumpy about yourself then, George. Thank God for that.
Can I admit something?
You can.
Oh, no.
This is very, I'm sure unpopular with most of our listeners. I've recently become vegan. I don't eat meat or dairy anymore. I've been veggie for 2 years. And
Graham's aghast in here.
Who
will not eat meat?
As he eats his hamburger, yeah.
And this is what I have to deal with on a daily basis. Mockery from the likes of you nomads.
Well, actually, Joe, there's actually a smile on Graham's face because he realises there's more for him now.
Yes, true.
I bought the burger in for him and it just disappeared. I don't know where it went.
Anyway, after he's finished mocking me, Millwall, as a football club, should think about it in their catering section
Not
to
a
bring
veggie
in.
burger.
Yeah, that sort of thing, because it's...
When they go up to the can and go, hello, darling, can I have a vegan burger or something like that?
I think you'll find that Forest Green do this already, don't they?
They do.
Forest Green do, yeah.
Millwall should be a club that looks to the future. I'm just putting it out there. Steve Kavanagh, if you're listening, I will mention this as well when I next speak to you. I'm a vegan. I want a vegan burger at the Den. Thank you.
They haven't sorted the proper burgers out yet, so...
Well,
It'd be very hard to distinguish the difference, I would think.
There's no meat in them anyway. Anyway.
Go on, Graham, you're one.
Go on, Graham.
No, you go for it, Ted, because... No, go on. Well, I'm going to make a point that, and I see, I've looked at something here and I see I get criticised for it, but there you go. I'm just saying, and I'll be very concise because George just went on and on and on. And the thing about it is that we've got to find a way of treating our younger players better and getting them in the first team. Now, there's a team down the road who are in the third division, who are doing it a bit better than us, I think, and I think we will look to see how we can progress these. I understand about the championship, I understand about this, but when you put a young player in, take him out, muck about with him, you've got to have some understanding what the guy's going through confidence-wise, and I just make that point because it's very important that we do this. I said to Dunne, when we spoke to him, very important that we haven't got the money and we've got to find this resource and got to use it much better than what we're doing at the moment, in my opinion.
Oh, there you go. That's short and sweet.
All right, yeah.
Right,
no nonsense, Graham.
Yeah, no nonsense. Me now, Joe, is it?
Yeah.
Right, well, mine was all football-based as it goes, what goes out on the pitch and that. And my original grump was going to be, believe it or not, and this is a true story, was going to be about short corners. What the bloody hell was the point in short corners?
I hate short corners.
And then all of a sudden on Sunday... Shane Ferguson, and I openly admit I was one of the ones that groaned, took a short corner with, I can't remember who knocked it back to him, then run round to the edge of the box and put it straight in the top corner. So I'm going to forget about that one.
What was your exact words when they first took the short corner?
Well, are we allowed to say in here? On here, I mean, I don't
Best
want to...
not swear.
It began with an F and finished with a...
Right.
Well, finished with a lot more, yeah.
Flipping hell.
Because, I think every fan's
your
the
imagination,
same.
George.
Every fan's the same. They want to see the ball get in the ball. Anyway, so I thought, well, no, I'll have to park that one. I can't say that one. So the next one that I'll getting frustrated in football now when I keep seeing sides continuously pass the ball across the back four, back to the goalkeeper, back to the back four, because the goalkeeper's the spare man, right? What I believe should come out as a footballing rule now is once the goalkeeper's passed it out to a player, he cannot pass it back to him. There you go.
I tell you what, so that's not a grump. That's a very...
and
that would be a very exciting new rule because that would cause a lot more chaos.
You understand what I'm saying, Joe? I've watched a couple of games the last couple of nights, the Chelsea and Tottenham one last night and the Liverpool Wolves one, and the amount of time that was wasted where the ball was in the defence's possession, but they was using the goalkeeper as the spare man just to knock it to one side and the other. If that is attractive, entertaining football, I don't know what it is.
Are you saying, Ted, that the same player should not be able to pass it back to him?
Yeah.
So another player could, because otherwise...
Yeah.
Just the same man.
Yeah, but when they go out wide, Joe, down to near the corner flag and get the ball from there, if you cut off that avenue back to the goalkeeper, but it's difficult for the opposition to get players up there to do it, but say to the player that gets the ball there, where's he got to go? He's got to come somewhere infield or down the line, and it gets the ball back into play again instead of going back to the bloody goalkeeper
Well, I thought it was
who
quite-
knocks it across to the other bloke, who then knocks it back to him, and
Yeah, well, I thought that's quite amusing, actually, and I think that's one of the ways these teams like to play, and England do it as well.
Yeah.
When you're doing all that type of rubbish, you're not putting the other team under pressure.
No.
You're playing in front of them. Now, the classic team who mucked up totally over the festive period was Nottingham Forest. They kept on mucking around, playing out, trying to play short, and all this business. Now, they've got to realise, some of these teams, that some of their players are just not good enough to do it, and that's where Millwall can exploit that situation by pushing up, because if you put them under pressure, they will make a mistake, and that's what they're doing all the time. So I'm quite keen for that still to be kept in the game, so that we can
Graham,
win a
you
few
say
more
that,
games.
You say that, but if the player that the ball was played to was not allowed to knock it back to the goalkeeper, that would cut the options down even more. As it stands, it can come to him, like they go wide and one comes in the middle. He might get the ball, and if somebody does shut him down, he just knocks it straight back to the goalkeeper.
The modern tendency, is to play it along the back line, isn't it? Out there, back to the centre half, lose the other centre half out of the back.
The point being, George, if they get shut down, they go back to the goalkeeper. So if you give the goalkeeper just one option to knock it out, and that option can't knock it back to him, then you don't have to worry about so many options.
You're always looking to change the rules of association football,
I
aren't
am, because I want it to be more and more entertaining. And the other one that I just want to find, as I've mentioned it before, that drives me crackers, and we do it, and it drives me crackers when we do it, is when the ball goes off from a shot and it's a goal kick, the goalkeeper goes and gets the ball and runs across the goal to the other side to take a goal kick. Make him take it from the side it goes off. A bit like they do with the corners, because every team does it. Your goalkeeper gets it. Whatever side the goal is, he's going to take it from the other side. Why? Make him take it from the side where it goes.
Was that not a rule at one time?
It was, and they changed it. They allowed them to take it from wherever. But even now, you have to take the corner.
So all that's doing is killing 30 seconds, a minute.
Killing time. Now you still have to take the corner from the side. If the goalkeeper parries it to the left of the goal, it's from that side. Why not a goal kick from the side the ball goes off?
It's weak refereeing, isn't it? What they said, was a guy on Sunday, he let the goalkeeper muck around like that all the time. The referee's got to book him. And if he books them, then you stop that altogether.
Yeah, but the referee can't stop him from going to get the ball and taking it right away over the other side.
Yeah, but when he does it about 3 or 4 times, Ted, in the game.
But he can do it. He can do it. He's allowed to do it. The laws of the game allow him to take that ball and place it wherever he wants. So what do? As per usual with football, they use it to their own benefit, and they con the public, because we're the paying public that are paying to watch football be played. And they run across the goal and point at the other side. And it's a slight change that will make a big difference.
If you would like Ted to go on the English Football League FA,
Mr.
change the rules.
Yeah, he can't even get on the MFC.
I can't get a blazer to fit me, George, I'm afraid.
And there was your grumpy old men for today, and Ted was very animated. More of that next time. Let's get some of your questions for the show out, because obviously it's a podcast now. We can't take your calls anymore, but we can get your views across, and let's do that.
Shall I just give you what we asked them this week?
Yeah, George, that would be a great idea.
We asked you to give us your thoughts on what the club should do currently in the transfer market, and where you think we need strengthening, and if you know any players that you would particularly like to name. So basically that was it. Where do you think we should strengthen, guys, really?
Before I read Darren from Very Near the Den, DAFT, what does he mean by that? I hope the daft. It's just mean daft people. It doesn't stand for anything. I don't know why it's in capitals.
Just daft, I suppose.
I think he's talking about daft people. Yeah. Right, okay. Yeah. All right. So this is Darren from Very Near the Den. He lives in a tent in the car park.
You've missed the first one then, Joe. You're not going to do the first one.
Oh, John Morgan. Oh, sorry.
Yes. John would be very upset.
Sorry, John. John, we'll start with you, John. John says, we need to strengthen with a forward. Steve Morrison eventually needs replacing, and regrettably, Tom Elliott isn't the answer. That's from John.
Well, he was at Ipswich because he was involved in all 3 goals.
Well, maybe he sent this before Ipswich.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think Tom Elliott is going through that patch where lots of Millwall players do, where people are getting on his back and having a moan and a groan and whatever that. From what I see, Tom Elliott's doing the job that he's being asked to do, and I think we should keep getting behind him rather than keep knocking him. The boy just needs a little bit more encouragement. I think he can be an handful to sides. And recently, he's been doing a pretty good job.
I think we should get on his back, to be honest. This is Darren from very near the tent in the car park. Well, I hope the daft have seen the light and that Neil is the only answer. We do need a striker with Bradshaw out until next term, but what else in Neil we must trust? And I think that those 4 wins in a row have changed people's mind, guys.
Yep. I think they have. I think Neil Harris must have been relieved as well, but something he's tweaked the team and they look much more confident in the style they're playing at the moment.
And Harris himself was saying he was really struggling to sleep and stuff like that under pressure, wasn't he?
I think he looked really relieved, if I'm honest. And I'm glad for him. He's a good guy. So
no Mill fan wants Neil Harris to fail.
No.
He's a club legend, and we want him to be our manager for many years to come and be successful. I'm sure that we'd all agree with that. This is Trev from Ainsford. He says, I've seen this before. We will not be able to make the big signings we might like in January due to financial restrictions, and our squad is not big enough to make wholesale changes. I know this goes against Graham's. Millwall are a big club, but he can explain how he draws that. But can he explain how he draws that conclusion?
Oh, he's getting his own questions.
I must say,
now.
I've been impressed with the recent run, and PS seems a good acquisition, and maybe we can achieve championship stability. However, a striker is essential. We missed out on Jayden Stockley if we were ever in for him, and the loan of the WBA player. Thanks, Trev. Graham, are you going to defend yourself?
Well, yeah, I mean that Millwall are a London club. I keep on hearing constantly how Crystal Palace, they were in liquidation virtually, and they've now see where they are now. I hear that Charlton, once we get big owners, we'll romp through the Championship. I don't think we should talk ourselves down, basically. I think it makes it very hard when we hear our manager turning round and saying to us, oh, we're only a small club, we're punching above our weight. When we try to acquire players, like there was from Barnsley, we got all the jip back from them saying, well, why are they going there? They're saying themselves they're only a small club, while Bradshaw going there. Let's stop thinking about how big we are, and let's start achieving on the football field, and you'll find that we will get bigger and bigger. Stay in the Championship for a few years, and we will start getting reserve of money like we've done with Savile and that, and we can actually start changing in players. Don't keep on talking your own club down. We're not a big club, we're not this, we're not that. Don't talk your club down. Everybody else is out there, they think they're big clubs, they're not listening to us. Nobody gives a jot about what we think of ourselves. If we can't pay the money, then we'll have to go through the youngsters route, but we got to stay in the Championship, as everybody around this table knows.
Graham, grumpy old men was early.
I was just about to say that, Joe. Yeah, you've grumpy old man's returned.
I mean, I can't.
Well said, Graham. Well said. Let's move on, because otherwise we'll be here all day. This is Emma. Emma likes me to do her voice, and she says, just a tip, Joe, more Stacey Dooley in voice. Mum just loves your efforts. Okay, so a bit Stacey Dooley. Well, Bradshaw is cropped and a replacement is definitely required. Neil says Fred is unplayable. I hope that means no one can stop him. He could be the answer if that is the case, but maybe another experienced player is wanted up front for our new right winger Morrison to feed. Emma.
Blimey.
Thanks, Em.
I've got
was that Stacey
Joe.
Dooley in it? I don't know who the hell Stacey Dooley is.
No, I wouldn't like to meet him in a dark alley.
Not
That's
in a
for
dark
sure.
alley, mate, no.
No.
Well, I don't know what to say about that. I'm a bit...
I think Joe said it all, or Emma did. I'm
Emma
not sure.
did. Emma, thank you for that. I hope your mum enjoyed it. This is Kenley John. Kenley John, what a name that is. I like that. Is it not John Kenley?
Yeah, I bet he comes from Kenley.
Kenley John. All right, it could be. If his name's Kenley, I've heard of Kenneths.
There's a very posh.
Kenley.
There's a pretty posh bloke next after that one, Joe.
Get on with it.
Don't you tell me what they do. This is Kenley John. Great name, Kenley John. Get Marshall in before Birmingham, capture him and secure the Huddersfield lad on loan at Bradford. The latter can play up front. Thanks, Kenley John. This is Reg Groom.
Hold on. I'd like to say that I totally agree with Kenley John, or John Kenley, because I think that's exactly what we should be doing.
Are you finished?
I have, yes.
Good, shut up. This is Reg Groom Littlehampton. Are these made up names?
No, he more likely lives in Littlehampton, doesn't he?
He sounds a bit
Well, why
posh.
don't you say, whoever's writing this bloody script, why don't you just say Reg Groom in Littlehampton?
Sounds
Because
a
that
bit
looks
posh.
like, Kenley John looks like his name, and Reg Groom, my name is Reg Groom Littlehampton.
Is that Sir Reg Groom?
Sir Reg Groom Littlehampton. Might we try to loan Connor Wickham from Palace? He's just back from injury and maybe a loan for the remainder of the season for us. Could be the answer to sharpening him up. Reg Groom, Sir Reg Groom from Littlehampton.
The guy, Connor Wickham, hasn't played for about 2-3 years. And I always doubt taking Palace players because they're normally crap.
Because he hates Palace.
Yeah, I do hate
That's
Palace.
a general sweeping statement.
But they are normally crap.
Listen, we got one more from Ron Yalding, and I should just say, and I don't want to plug this and it not happen, but Theo Pathetas should be on our next podcast with us in the studio, so that's something to look forward to, isn't it?
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah, old Theo.
Yeah, Theo. We spoke to him. We spoke to him years ago when he was on South London Radio.
We did.
And he offered me a job, and I'm not very happy at the current place,
Oh,
so I might ask him for. I might ask him if he can give me a
revisiting
job.
that job offer, Joe. Is that
Yeah, I've always wanted to work in Staples. Where is it? He worked? No, not Staples. What's it? Ryman. Same thing, isn't it? This is Ron Yalding. He says, all I can say is that someone must come in to replace Bradshaw. Maybe Gregors will return soon, but we still need another long-term target man. I think Meredith has problems, and whilst Wallace and Ferguson can fill in at that spot, a pacey established left back is needed. Thank you, Ron Yalding. Is that Ron in Yalding or is it Ron Yalding?
That's Ron Yalding.
Yeah.
Meredith, what a shame. I don't know what's gone on with him, but he's certainly been off the pace. Apparently, in one game, Neil Harris was going to play him. Well, now, I think, was it the Cup? I can't remember now. And he said he just physically couldn't do it. I don't know what's gone on with the guy. He's obviously struggling at the moment, and I don't like the bloke, I'm going to say. And he's obviously struggling at the moment, and I feel sorry for him. And let's hope he comes back, because he is a lovely little left full-back, and he did wonders last season.
You want him back at the standard that he was playing at last year, which he hasn't.
It looks like his fitness, if anything. You know, he looks like a
he
little
always
bit.
looks like he's a bit drained to me. Where he was like a bundle of energy.
Yeah,
last
like
year.
George.
Yeah.
Strange, he's totally flushed out, mate.
Listen, I want to go home, so...
I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Go on, mate.
So we've got these games coming up, Joe.
Oh,
haven't
yeah,
we?
sorry, George.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to finish on that? Otherwise we'll be all day. We've got Blackburn Rovers live on the telly on Saturday, and then we're off to Borough.
5:30, that, Joe, isn't it? 5:30.
Yeah, I know. Does that muck your schedule up, George?
It does a bit. You know me, I'm all over the place, Joe, and I.
Well, you like to leave usually on 80 minutes, don't you? You don't stay to the end. How many goals
I don't
you
leave
missed
no
down the
more,
years?
Joe. I don't leave no more, and haven't left for a long time at the end. And you will notice now there are not many goals right at the very death, are there?
Look, it's 5:30.
No, that's because you keep staying.
Yeah, that's
if
right.
he was actually left, there would be.
It's 5:30, so he would have left before he had arrived.
If the supporters would like to donate money, I will leave on 88 minutes like I used to, and then you get a glut of goals.
If you
88
notice
minutes.
that on the telly that the ground's filling up of people and there's one person going the other way, that'd be George.
George. What am I
Going to get
doing
his
here?
train.
What am I doing here at 5:30?
Blackburn Rovers, winnable game?
Oh, yeah.
Should be, yeah.
Certainly.
But we do have to be careful because Bradley Dack is a good player, very good player. It's a shame we never got hold of him from Gillingham. And Danny Graham, who plays up front for him, always seemed to have a knack of scoring against us, unfortunately. So it's going to be tough, like every game in the Championship. But look, we're on a run, aren't we? We're on a roll. So there's no reason
Wouldn't it be
why
nice
we
to
can't
get
go.
2 away wins in a row? I mean, my only worry is that away wins come too early in the season. It didn't come till February last time.
The Middlesbrough would be
the
tough.
Middlesbrough would be a tough one. Didn't matter where if you were playing at the top of your game, that'd be a tough one.
You know he's going to play. He's just going to be hard and physical and low balls into the box. That's what they always do in Middlesbrough.
But we owe them one because they nicked a draw against us at the start of the season, didn't they? So
Yeah.
we owe them one from that, and nothing to worry about.
And it's a good cup run, and it's a good cup draw.
Oh, brilliant.
Boys, before we talk about all this, maybe we ought to think who we might have bought in beforehand, because if we do get our striker, I think our physical striker, I think we would be all right, mate. I think in some of these games, going forward, disappointing we're going to go into the middle of January maybe without him making any other signing than the boy Pearce from Derby. But
He played very well, by the way.
yeah,
the
he
other
did
day.
play well.
He was good.
And he's a good signing because he's put that in there for a bit of experience. Really,
Well, I
hasn't
think we might even still be a chance of signing Tim Cahill before the Everton game. So
Tim Cahill, yeah.
Well, wouldn't that be something?
Timmy
come
Scorth
back.
were on the pitch, boys.
Can I just mention Steve Rendell? He's going to be doing a run for our favourite lad, Harvey Brown, and he's got a Facebook page or whatever, and we're going to. You'll hear it mentioned on this show later on, and hopefully you'll all sign up to it and give some money to him because it's a great cause, and we all love our Harvey. So
that's good.
yeah, just mention that. And can I just say one other thing before you take over, Joe?
Yeah.
You what?
If you hear anything on this show that you would like us to take to the club in all different departments or whatever, if you have a grumble or a moan or about anything, email in and we will take it to all the relevant departments and ask them and come back with an answer. That's all
Okay,
right.
Georgie, thank you so much, boys. Lovely to see you. Happy
And
New
you,
Year
Joe.
to you.
And
Happy New Year,
Hopefully
mate.
Theo
Happy New Year.
Pathetis will join us in the next show.
Great stuff.
And
Good.
let's hope we've got a few more wins to talk about when we next join you. Enjoy yourselves over the next month and have a good time.
Always do. Always
Yeah.
do.
Keep to your your New Year's resolutions as well. Don't give up.
Too late,
Graeme.
I have.
Eat as much as you like.
Yeah, all right.
Graham's going vegan.
Yeah, all right. See you later, boys.
Ta-da.
Bye.
I'd like to welcome Lions fan Steve Rendell, who is fundraising for the Society for Mucopolysaccharide Disease by running the London Landmark Half Marathon on the 24th of March. Hi Steve, why are you raising funds for the Society?
Thanks, Simon. I've done a couple of fundraising activities previously, but when I saw young Harvey Brown leading the team with skipper Tony Craig at Wembley in the playoff final against Barnsley, I thought, when I find myself a suitable half marathon to compete in London, I'll run for the MPS Society and support young Harvey. So then I contacted Dean and Vicky, Harvey's parents. Then I take permission from the MPS Society. They gave me the green light to go ahead. And so far, with all the generous sponsorship from everybody at the club and all the support I've had, so far I'm on £4,132.76. Just so people know where the sponsorship money is going towards, it's going to support the families and carers and ensure all individuals with MPS and related diseases have access to all the best treatment and care that's out there, and also promote the research into the causes, effects and treatments of these severely life-threatening limited diseases, and to basically increase the public awareness of these rare conditions.
Well, that's fantastic, Steve. And I'll say to all our listeners, you can help Steve to help MPS Society and others like our own Harvey Brown by sponsoring via Just Giving. You can find further details pinned to the top of the No One Likes Us Talking Facebook page throughout January, or by emailing us at studio@noonelikesUstalking, all one word, and talking's without a G.com. What Steve's doing is a fantastic job. All the best, Steve.
Thanks, Simon. Appreciate your time.
No one likes us! No one likes us! We don't care! We are Millwall! Super Millwall! We are Millwall! From here!
No One Likes Us Talking is also sponsored by Gary at Tower Design and Print Limited, Dean Wilson, Independent Funeral Directors at Elton, Bromley and Lock's Bottom, Reliance South East Cleaning Services covering London, Kent and Sussex, Bexley Steel, Power Industrial Estate, Slade Green Road, Erith, and North East Millwall. You can find our sponsors' details online or at our website at noonelikesUstalking.com. That is a talking without a G, and No One Likes Us Talking is all one word. That's noonelikesUstalking.com.